Boris Berezovsky has had his multi-billion-dollar claim against fellow Russian oligarch Roman Abramovich dismissed by a London court. The trial, which heard allegations of threats, blackmail and corrupt business deals, is being billed as one of the most expensive legal battles in history. And RT's Laura Smith is in London with the details. Laura, tell us more, please, about what the two were fighting over and about the court decision.
Well, the court decision found against Boris Berezovsky, so that means essentially that not a cent of the more than $5 billion in retribution that he was asking for will be paid to him by Abramovich. Berezovsky arrived at the court earlier this morning looking pretty upbeat. Abramovich himself was not there. He said to reporters that he believed in the legal system, but that upbeat mood for him didn't last very long. As the verdict was read, he was holding his head in his hands, obviously very disappointed by this. But whatever the outcome, really, this case has been a huge amount of fun, really, for spectators. It's opened up this kind of seedy underworld of formerly of Russia's mega rich. So talked about what went on in the dark days of 90s Russia in what we used to call the Wild East. So we're talking about vast sums of money changing hands, offshore bank accounts, illicit payments made under the table, glamour, five-star hotels, ski resorts, and deals, enormous deals involving enormous sums of money done just on a handshake with no documentation whatsoever. So very difficult for the judge to decide all along who's telling the truth and who's just making up the evidence as he goes along. And it's brought to London these two squabbling billionaires with all that involves, their entourages, their vastly expensive lawyers, menacing-looking bodyguards who stalk behind them constantly. And with each, both Berezovsky and Abramovich, each accusing the other of lying and corruption and greed. Now, the details of this case have been that Berezovsky essentially says that he lost billions of dollars when Abramovich, back in the day, intimidated him into selling off stakes in oil and metals companies in Russia for a fraction of what they were actually worth, he says. But Abramovich says that he and Berezovsky were never partners in the true sense of the word. He says that he took him on, and payments that he made to Berezovsky were for political protection, or krisha, which means roof in Russian, as it's come to be called, which is a word that is now, as a result of this case, freely bandied about in legal circles here in the UK. Abramovich admits that he made these regular undocumented payments to Berezovsky, but that they were only for this political protection, and often in huge cash sums, up to $5 million handed over in cash at times, and totaling several $100 million. He says that he paid for Berezovsky to travel in a private jet. He bought him a French chateau, and he also bought him jewellery for his girlfriend. Berezovsky wanted in excess of $5 billion to make up for all that, on top of the $1.2 billion that he originally received for what he says was the stake in these oils and metals companies. Of course, he's lost, but this has been one of the biggest civil trials in British legal history, with, as I say, massive amounts of money involved. And this is not the only case that has been going on in London at the moment. In fact, there's another one involving Oleg Deripaska, the aluminium magnate, and a man called Mikhail Chernoy. A similar kind of thing. Chernoy says that they were partners and that Deripaska reneged on that, but Deripaska says again that he was paying him protection money. So there are these cases going on in London at the moment. We think if Berezovsky had won, there would have been a lot more of them, but still it shows that the British legal system is willing to hear these cases, and the bill for the lawyers has run into millions, and it's been hundreds of hours in court time.
RT's Laura Smith reporting there live from London. Laura, many thanks indeed. And of course, there's more on all the twists and turns in this case, as well as comment and analysis on our website, which is rt.com.